Oh, Mr. Prinny. Your name is Halak. Wow, that's weird. You were the only one to touch me last episode, so I will touch you again. Like what I did last time. Oops. Last time. Touch. And just okay, you still say the same thing, go away. I don't like you know what? He says the same thing. It doesn't change after every chapter. No, he just says the same thing. Jeez. Anyway, hello everybody, it's me Keese and welcome back to Let's Play Disgaea DS. In the last one, Laharl had some candid photos taken of him, and now they're going to be spread all over the netherworld, which Laharl doesn't want. So, we went out to stop the person responsible for it, essentially. That's not what we're gonna do this episode. Sorry, Laharl, I know you don't want your, I don't know, from what it sounded like, your weird fetishes to be discovered, but don't worry, they'll remain a secret forever, because, that's not how the game works, and the game, story, at least, won't progress unless we say so. So with our power to stop time, instead, what we're going to do this episode is we're going to transmigrate, or I guess reincarnate in this version of the game. In the normal version, well, the PS2 version, and the PSP version, it's called transmigrating. Here it's called reincarnating, much like the rest of the Disgaea series. And who are we going to reincarnate? It's Fier, because we already have two mages, which are pretty good. Sure, they don't have mega level spells, but they're much more useful per se, because they can heal and they have different types of spells that they can learn. Now, what is reincarnation? Well, reincarnation is essentially it's a reset. You reset the character to level 1. However, there are a few things that are nice about reincarnation. For one thing, which is the main reason why I'm going to do it, is you can choose what class they can become. So let's say you have, I don't know, a thief that you don't need anymore, then you can just turn them into, I don't know, a skull or something. Or you can reincarnate them into the same class. That also works. As you can see, we can, let's say, reincarnate Fier into a green mage, because we don't want her to learn fire spells anymore. But that is not what we want. Now, if you may have noticed, we got a new class some time ago, and that is the Knight. The Knight is very useful, and she uses swords, which is a weapon that we have not seen at all since like the start of the LP, because we switched Laharl to axe. Now that was weird, to an axe. But yeah, we're gonna reincarnate. Oh wow, I was half expecting that we would have. Oh, that's why you need 400 mana for skilled. Okay, that's fine. We'll just make her average instead. But yeah, Fier is gonna remain Fier. You can also change their name. And the most important part of reincarnation is the fact that they retain skills and some stats. So essentially, you're resetting them to level 1, which makes them weaker. However, in the long run, because their base stats are increased, they end up being a much stronger character. So let's just do this. Now, reincarnation isn't something I'd recommend doing at this portion of the game, but I feel like doing this. I really do. I want to do this because I want a sword user. That, and it's a way for me to show off reincarnation. And now it just says transmigrated. It said reincarnated earlier. This is gonna confuse me so badly. Oh man. But yeah, Fier is now level 1 again, so I will have to grind her up off screen. Yada yada yada. But now, if we look, I'm pretty sure she keeps her equipment. If not, then I made it bad. There you go. There you go. She keeps her stuff, which, let's be honest, is pretty good, so we shouldn't have any trouble. Well, grinding her up to a higher level. Now I'm gonna give her a different weapon though. So, hello there. Give me a sword. Come on, sword. Long sword. Now, here's a trick if you haven't noticed me do it before, is that the item stores, their stocks reset every time you quit. So see, now they have worse weapons. Which kinda sucks, but let's be honest here. It's worth it. Wow, it's just becoming worse each and every time. Wow, come on. Give me something good. Or not. Oh, okay. Come on. Come on. Come on, give me something good. I'm just gonna cut this out if... There you go, ninja swords. Ooh, these are actually pretty darn good. Yeah, I'm doing that. It also increases intelligence. Wow. And that's perfect for Fier. Because now Fier has a sword. And we can keep the staff. Now, one thing to note about Reincarnation is they lose all of their mana, so keep that in mind. Make sure you spend most of it either on the actual reincarnation process or on something else. And they also lose their promotions, because you have to be rank 3 in order to reincarnate any character. You can reincarnate any character you want, except for a certain special character that we haven't seen yet, but that it makes sense why they can't be reincarnated. Now, humanoid classes cannot reincarnate into monsters, as you have seen earlier. We didn't have a choice of any monsters. You can, however, do that. You just have to reincarnate them into a Prinny first, and then you can reincarnate that Prinny into a monster. Yeah, it's a bit complicated. They removed that in later Disgaea games. It's more annoying than anything else. Another thing to note is that you can't reincarnate any story characters. So let's say Lahar, Letna, or Flan here, and I'm pretty sure you also can't do that to Hogmiser. You can't reincarnate them into any other class, which kinda sucks, but the, boost in stats still help. Now, I'm just thinking of what else to say about reincarnation. Well, make sure when you reincarnate them, you don't make them good for nothing, because that just ruins the point. The boosted stats, that just ruins the point. So don't do that. Seriously, don't. And really, that's all I can say. Now, I'm curious about Fier because, as the name, well, she's a knight, but really I know this class as the Magic Knight because that's what it's called in the later Disgaea games. There you go. She knows ice now as well. That's right. The knight can learn spells as well, so that's great. Now her stuff isn't that great. Look at that. But that shouldn't be too much of a problem. And you know what? Because this episode is a bit too short, but because I reincarnated Fier into the Magic Knight, I am going to have a character bio of the Magic Knight happen right about now, just to explain why I wanted the Magic Knight in particular, and I didn't reincarnate Fier into, I don't know, a warrior or something like that. So, take it away, future me! A little anecdote to start off with. When I was first getting into Disgaea, I looked around some forums related to the game, looking for information on what class to try out next. And amongst all of them, a lot of people recommended the Magic Knight. And yes, I know it says Knight in the game and on the wiki. Hush. The Magic Knight is most likely the first class you can create that has no direct specialization, unlike the other humanoid classes that we've seen so far, and they're essentially a jack-of-all-trades support character. While I was starting out, I wasn't too thrilled about the idea of that kind of character, and now that I've actually used them for several games, I can confidently say that the Magic Knight is one of the best classes in the game. First off with the bad, however, just to shed a little light as to why I didn't think too highly of these knights all that time ago. The most obvious of them all being their weapon masteries. None of them are above B, and that's only for swords and staves. Everything else is almost as good, or I could say bad, as the thief. And the second is their less than amazing stats. Now, don't get me wrong, they're pretty good, they're just not amazing, and all they do is it helps serve their purpose as a jack of all trades. But let's be honest here, when you've got 16 max HP, well not max HP, but 16 base HP and 13 attack at the final tier, it seems a bit underwhelming, considering that even the warriors have higher attack and HP than that. And thirdly, they have incredibly low movement with a low jump height and 4 move, which is relatively normal for mages or healers, but in my opinion it's not enough for a melee character, which the Magic Knight is. This means that you practically have to give them shoes, or they might spend their entire time either chasing enemies or allies, as I've said before, because they are a support character. Despite this, the greatest strength of the Magic Knight outweighs all of its downfalls by a fair margin. This being that they are extremely versatile attackers, being able to use swords and all elemental spells up to Omega. This versatility makes up for the fact that they don't do magic or sword fighting, as well as the classes specialized in them. And this is great for filling in gaps in the party, or even just softening up or finishing up enemies. Because the Magic Knight uses both swords and magic, they don't end up with any problems that we've seen with our mages, and even sometimes with our warriors, where a particular enemy has an armor piece or a weapon that gives a boost in either defense or resistance, making it sometimes a bit of a surprise when, let's say, a mage tanks a hit for 0 damage. With this choice for attacking, just switch up your attacks and you should deal damage either way. For a class with this much variety in its moveset, of course there also has to be a few curveballs that need to be taken note of as well. First off is, when a knight uses a normal attack, she will also use an offensive spell that she knows. According to the wiki, this is a small chance, but from personal experience, if the enemy isn't dead, it will activate practically every single time. Now, it won't activate every time, but it happens pretty often. This is particularly useful, as you get essentially 2 attacks in 1 turn, and one of the few occasions I would actually recommend a normal attack over using a skill. Speaking of spells, the second thing to keep note of is that the Magic Knight learns spells in sets, meaning that you have to transmograte the character, or reincarnate in Disgaea DS's case, in order to learn a new set of spells. And while she is able to learn support spells like Braveheart or Shield, and all elemental spells up to Omega like I've said before, she can't learn Star and healing spells unless taught by a pupil. Oh boy, this has been a particularly long bio, and for a good reason too. The Magic Knight is a class that gives up at being the best at one thing to essentially being able to perform double duty and even sometimes triple duty. Now, while overall she may not be as good as some of the other classes we are able to create at this point, the versatility she provides is excellent, and in my opinion at least, a must-have in any party, whether you're using her for defense, support, or even just finishing off enemies. Hello there. I have one of your kind now. Oh, you give me a tutorial. Why is it half the people I talk to give me a tutorial? I mean, I don't remember talking to you, like, ever. And I don't know why you're in front of this cage. That is kind of creepy. But yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's a bit shorter than usual, and I hope my explanation was clear enough. I hope my explanation of Reincarnation was clear enough. If not, I might redo this. But I hope it has helped somewhat. And it's really not something I would recommend doing this silly game, but I wanted to do it because I wanted a knight. So, with that said, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!